Hey guys, I just want to quickly do a little tutorial on how to really break down this JavaScript assignment and what we're kind of expected to do. Okay, so for this JavaScript assignment, we're given Pokemon data, and our objective here is to really just print out all the Pokemons that are able to learn Fire Blast. Okay, sounds pretty cool, I know. And in order to do that, we are going to be using iterators to our advantage. And iterators come in real handy when we want to do things like filtering or mapping or transforming data in general to something that we kind of want. So when we're working with .map and filter, we're usually working with huge JSON objects like what you guys see in front of us right now. And what we want to do is to kind of break down this huge object so that we only use what we really need, right? We don't need all of this properties and a bunch of junk, right? We only want the Pokemon names, right? So .map and .filter really helps us, kind of narrow down our search results. And that's why, using such iterations is so powerful in the real world. And so I'm just going to quickly go about, what kind of thought process we should be taking in order to complete this quick little assignment, right? So whenever we're given this huge data or a huge JSON object, the very first thing we should be doing is kind of looking through the JSON object in general. We should see, okay, like what kind of properties it handles. Is there huge arrays? And what kind of contents are within this JSON object? And when we're kind of looking through this JSON object, we realize that the attack of this entire object is all narrowed down to Fire Blast, which is pretty important because we know that all of these Pokemon right here are able to learn Fire Blast, right? And as we go along, we see properties like accuracy, generation, ID. As we scroll down, we see like meta, critical rate, stuff like that. And whenever we have a bunch of properties, we need to, again, ask ourselves, what are we really searching for? And in this assignment, we know that our key finding, or what we're trying to really narrow down to, is the names of all the Pokemon that are able to learn Fire Blast. Okay? So when looking through this data, we see, okay, our very first step is analyzing the data, which we already have done, right? Our second step would be, okay, where do I find the Pokemon that are able to learn Fire Blast? And as you read through properties, you see that, okay, we have like accuracy, which definitely does not contain names. Generation doesn't seem right. ID, again, is just a number. And then we're kind of given this, okay, learned by Pokemon and this huge array. And this massive array is actually all the Pokemon that are able to learn Fire Blast. And that's really important to us because this is the data that we want, right? This is the data that we are looking for. So our second step is to figure out a way to access this array right here, this learn by Pokemon array. When we went through the map and filter lesson, and in terms of having huge objects, we know that in order to access certain properties of an object, we need to use the dot operator. So we know that we would have something along the lines of Pokemon data dot learn by Pokemon, and then boom, we should have access to this entire array right here. From there, we go to our third step, which would be, okay, now we kind of have to see a way to only print out the names because we don't want the URLs. The URLs are pretty useless to us at the moment, right? We don't want junk in our array. So we need to figure out a way to just print out the names, okay? So I'm just going to leave off of that and move down to kind of like the template function that we're kind of given because there's important information right here. We are given the fact that the return type has to be an array of strings, okay? So if it's an array of strings, we don't want an array of objects. We don't want an array of integers, right? We are only looking for an array of strings. Therefore, of this entire array, we need to only be able to print out the name and discard the URL, okay? So a way to go about thinking about, how to, like our thought process on how to really solve this is we need to use iterators to our advantage here because we're not really filtering anything here, right? we're more like transforming each element of this array into something new. And whenever we're saying the words transform or mutate, stuff like that, we're kind of, going into territory of .map, right? We don't need .filter, but we're going to be using .map. And that's because we're going to transform this data so that we discard the URL and we replace the elements with just the name of the Pokemon. Okay? So that's kind of the thought process I want you guys to take and apply to, the problem set you're given, right? And I'm not going to tell you exactly how to do it, but that's kind of the thought process on, what path you should take to, get to the right destination in terms of printing out the names of all the Pokemon. Okay? And yeah, so I hope this helped, and give it a shot, and wish you guys the best of luck.